Hello, my name is Randy Zarn, and I am so happy that you're here to learn something more about student leadership and leadership in general. So it's my plan today to introduce you to a new concept of leadership, one that's been around for a number of years. However, it hasn't gotten much attention. However, I think it's a great way to um, empower you and others to be a better leader. So we'll go ahead and get started. And first of all, I want to welcome you and let you know that I want to congratulate you actually on participating in leadership at the beach, because I know these are unusual conditions, and normally we would do this in person. It's a whole lot better when there's a group of people in front of you, but we're going to try and do our best here today and give you some great concepts and ideas. And I hope you really enjoy this leadership conference that's being put on, because it will help you become a better leader and a better person in general. So let me first of all introduce myself. Again, I'm Randy Zarn, and I was where you were when I was in college. I was a student leader, and I got involved in a number of different organizations, and it sort of led me on my path of my career, which I spent 40 years in higher education, in student services, and primarily in student life, working with students and helping them develop their skills and helping them become leaders. So I would like to tell you a little bit more about myself. Actually, I got to spend 15 years of my career at Cal State Long Beach, where I worked in a number of different areas. And I also was able to work with the SOAR program. I was director of student orientation, advising, and registration for about 4 years. And I also was instrumental in helping make sure that there was a leadership program going on, and also worked with establishing the Lois Swanson Leadership Resource Center, which is up there on the third floor of the Student Union. After 15 years, I decided I had a great run there at Cal State Long Beach, but I wanted to do something more. So I ended up as the Associate Vice President of Student Life at Cal State Dominguez Hills. I spent 11 years there. In those 11 years, we also developed a leadership class. We created a leadership program, and that program really helped in a lot of ways help develop student skills in terms of leadership. And then I actually retired around 15 years ago and became a consultant and working in campuses, and also in working with organizations, nonprofits, where I have spent several years as the involved in the Partners of Parks, which is a nonprofit that supports parks, recreation, marine here in Long Beach. Okay, so today we're going to look at a concept, and again, let's start with what I think is really important is the notion that we have a context of leadership, and that context is the 7 C's of leadership. As hopefully you've heard this before. If not, let me go ahead and just give you the ideas of the 7 C's. First of all, in leadership, you need a consciousness of self and others through self-reflection. It's really important that you really fully understand who you are, what your strengths and weaknesses are, and continue to learn about who you are as you evolve as a leader, as a person. So you're going to want to really take some time and do some self-reflection. That's the first C. The next C is congruency. This is where I talk about if you talk the talk and you walk the walk, then that's congruency. People want a leader who they can trust. So when you say something, you need to do something. And that is be congruent with what you're saying and your actions. I can tell you that leaders who do this are trusted. And trust is probably one of the most important aspects of leadership. And those who are with an individual, working with that individual and looking at them as a leader, they want to know that they can be trusted. The next area is commitment. You have to have a commitment. You have to show a desire and commitment to really give energy to whatever you're doing. So commitment is extremely important. People recognize you as having that commitment. The next one is collaboration. Collaboration is where people really come together around a common goal. And it's not all about just one person. It's about collaborating together and working on a goal, on a what would be called a common purpose, so that we all are on the same page and we know which way we're going. The next one is controversy with civility, which means that we're not always going to agree, but when we disagree, disagree in a civil way. So we're respectful of one another. That goes a long way for giving people a sense of fairness. Okay, so controversy with civility. The last one is citizenship, knowing that we are citizens of a greater place, not just our organization, but we are citizens of the world of where we reside, and understanding that relationship as being a citizen. So that's the 7 C's, and that leads us to our first idea is traditional leadership. What is traditional leadership? What do you believe are the characteristics of a traditional leader? Now, here's where I would normally have you respond. So I want you to just think about that for a couple moments. Okay, so maybe you're thinking that it's about strength, powerful, top of the organization, a person who leads people in a certain direction, has knowledge, inspires. Maybe those are some of the thoughts that you have about traditional leadership. And it kind of comes under command and control, where actually you have a framework in the beginning, which is a hierarchy. And the hierarchy we see from the church and the military, where there's people at a higher level, and then there's those that are at a lower level. Well, servant leadership is a bit different. So what do you believe as the definition of servant leadership? What is that? And we're going to explore that. Okay. Actually, a servant leader is a servant first. And this was a concept developed by Robert Greenleaf, who worked for AT&T. This was very popular in the late 60s, early 70s, and he was the one that coined this term and came up with the great concepts around it. And the quote here is, as we look ahead into the next century, which we're in right now, leaders will be those who empower others. So a definition of servant leader is a servant leader makes sure that other people's highest priority needs are being met. While being served, they become healthier, wiser, freer, more autonomous, more likely themselves to become servants. This was Robert Greenleaf's quote. So what he's saying is that really a leader is supporting those in the organization. And those people are becoming better people because of the attention they're receiving from the servant leader. So maybe you can think of some examples of someone you know, living or dead, that is or was a servant leader. So we're going to move on as you think about that. So here are some of the qualities of a servant leader. A servant leader focuses primarily on growth and well-being of people and the communities to which they belong, while traditional leadership generally involves the accumulation and exercise of power by one at the top of the pyramid. However, servant leadership is different. The servant leader shares power, puts the needs of others first, and helps people develop and perform as highly as possible. So one thing that I like to think about is how when you have the power of being a leader, when you share that power with others, you actually incredibly become more powerful by giving away power. Now, this is an interesting concept. By giving away your power to others, you become more powerful. They're going to look to you because you've just improved their responsibilities, their feeling about who they are by sharing that power. So don't be afraid to give away that power to others. It will empower them for sure. Okay, some concepts about a servant leader is you want to run to great purpose. You want to upend the pyramid. You want to raise the bar. You want to blaze the trail. And you want to build on strength. So here's the first concept. Run to great purpose is the first action that marks the serving leader. It's the foundation, everything else follows. Okay, here's the idea is you need to understand the purpose of your organization. If you're in a student organization, if you're in a work environment, the most important thing to begin with is having a idea of what the purpose of the organization is all about, because you need to be able to define that as a leader, as a serving leader. So being able to identify what that purpose is, and then you're getting to run towards that, and people will follow you towards that great purpose. The next one is upend the pyramid. When a leader keeps personal ego in check and builds the confidence and self-esteem of others, it is then possible for the team to work together. So it's not about you, it's about the members of your organization. So keep in mind that when you are in a position of leadership, you really want to build the confidence and, again, giving away the power to others and develop their self-esteem so they feel very positive and they can work as a team together. So in a pyramid, normally you would think of the leader as the top, but the members are at the top of the organization. The leader is at the bottom, serving those who are members. Raise the bar. First, it's about being selective in choosing the leaders you're going to work with. And second, it's about continually raising the expectations for performance. So really, performance is something that you want to achieve for the organization, and you want the individuals to perform at the highest level. Okay, maybe you can't always choose who you're going to work with. However, you can have expectations and hold people accountable for what they agreed to do. So it's really important to keep those expectations high and make sure people are accountable for what they need to do. blaze the trail. Okay, it's like being in a forest and you've got a lot of obstacles in the way. And so you want to clear the trail and create a trail that people can walk through the forest. So you're clearing away those things that are impediments to individual success. So we teach others the knowledge, skills, strategies they need to succeed, and we work hard to get obstacles out of their way so that they can make progress. So what you're doing is really making every effort to make sure that people have all that they need to be successful. And that may be working with your organization, with other organizations, with ways to make sure that it's easy for people to do their job. And community happens when everyone rolls up their sleeves and gets to work. The next item is build on strength. A high performance team is put together with the greatest care and attention to how each person's strengths can be used to the max and how the weaknesses will get covered by someone else on the team. Well, I would recommend there is a book called Strength Finders. And I think that that book is really good at helping you identify what your strengths are and looking at maybe where you have weaknesses. And that the premise of that book is that you are going to focus on your strengths. And that would be good to look at other people's strengths and weaknesses so that you have a complementary set of skills there. So not everybody wants or should be the same in the organization. You need diversity of skills. And therefore, can those that have greater strengths in one area, but maybe weak, the other person can come in and perform the task because they have strengths in the area that this person's weak in. So again, build on strength. So here are some other very important skills of a servant leader. You'll serve people better when you make a deep commitment to listening intently to them and understanding what they're saying. To improve your listening skills, give people your full attention. Take notice of their body language, avoid interrupting them before they're finished speaking, and give feedback on what they say. In other words, people really, I think, respond when an individual listens at this level because it shows that you are committed to who they are. Again, you're serving them and their ideas. But those people who are thinking ahead, not really paying attention to what the person's saying, I think become insincere, and individuals recognize this right away. So make sure that you are listening with full intent to understand what the person's saying, and then maybe give them feedback on what they said at the end. But do not interrupt them. Let them get their idea out completely. Empathy. This goes along with listening. Servant leaders strive to understand other people's intentions and perspectives. You can be more empathic by putting aside your own viewpoint temporarily, valuing others' perspectives, and approaching situations with an open mind. Because solving issues within the organization or ways to be more successful, you want a variety of ideas because those ideas will make a better response in the end. Having a diversity of ideas and then making sure that you value those person's ideas because they may be different than your own. And you may put that aside for a moment while you listen to what they have to say. So definitely encourage people to bring out their ideas and listen intently on what they have to say. Healing is another characteristic that relates to emotional health and wholeness of people and involves supporting them both physically and mentally. First, make sure that your people have the knowledge, support, and resources they need to do their jobs effectively. and that they have a healthy workplace. Then take steps to help them be happy and engaged in their roles. I can tell you if employees or members of your organization are happy and enjoying what they do, they will be much more productive. So it's really important that you create that sense of a healthy environment and a healthy workplace. So, and this idea of giving them knowledge, support, and resources. So make sure that if you have position descriptions or those things that the people in your organization need to complete, make sure that they understand it, you support them, have the support systems there, and provide them with the resources that they need to be successful. Self-awareness, this goes back to consciousness of self. Self-awareness is the ability to look at yourself, think deeply about your emotions and behavior, and consider how they affect the people around you and align with your values. So again, this is one of those understanding who you are and constantly reviewing that, because things change, you change. So you need to constantly be aware of your behaviors and emotions and how they affect the people around you. And you can become more self-aware by knowing your strengths and weaknesses and asking for other people's feedback on them. And also learn to manage your emotions so that you consider how your actions and behavior might affect others. So again, asking for people's feedback is difficult because they might be critical, but if you want to improve and you want to show them that you're interested in improving, you would listen to their feedback and try to make some changes. It's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. Persuasion. Okay, servant leaders use persuasion rather than their authority. In other words, if you have a position, a leadership position, you don't want to lean on the fact that you have authority. You want to encourage people to take action. They also aim to build consensus in groups so that everyone supports decisions. People help support what they create. I learned that a long time ago at a leadership retreat. So if the group is giving input and there's a consensus, they're going to support that decision much more. So it's important to really be more persuasive than authoritarian. And there are many tools, models that you can use to be more persuasive without damaging relationships or taking advantage of others. You should also build your expert power. So you should be learning new things. And when people perceive you as an expert, they are more likely to listen to you when you want to persuade or inspire them. So if you're the expert, you know this information, and you're sharing it, they're more likely to listen to you and to follow you. Conceptualization. This characteristic relates to your ability to dream great dreams so that you look beyond day-to-day realities to the bigger picture. Now, as a leader, you should be able to dream where you want to see your organization go, what kinds of goals you want to achieve. So dream big. And this is a characteristic of that servant leader. And if you're a senior leader in your company, work through and develop a robust organizational strategy. And this would be good with student organizations as well. Then whatever level you're at, create mission and vision statements for your team and make it clear how people's roles tie in with your team's and organization's long-term objectives. So this is a way to really help keep people motivated by sharing with them and having them develop a mission and strategy for the movement forward of your organization. So this idea of a commitment to growth of people is truly being a servant leader. Servant leaders are committed to the personal and professional development of everyone on their teams. To develop your people, make sure that you use training needs assessments to understand their developmental needs. There are many assessments out there that you could use, even in your student organization, and give them the skills they need to do their jobs effectively. Also, find out what their personal goals are and see if you can give them projects or additional responsibilities that will help them achieve these. So people want to grow and be more professional, maybe want to move up in an organization or even in the student organization. They have aspirations of being a leader. So you want to give them uh, additional responsibilities that will help them achieve whatever vision and goals they have for the future. Building community. This is the last characteristic and is with building the sense of community within your organization. You can do this by providing opportunities for people to interact with one another across the organization or company. For instance, you could organize social events such as team lunches, barbecues. Design your workspace to encourage people to chat informally away from their desks and dedicate the first few minutes of meetings to non-work related conversations. So I know there's a lot of times where you just want to get right into the agenda, but I remember a student leader who in student government, he would devote the first 5-10 minutes of every meeting to allow people to kind of talk about their own personal situations and allowed them to feel really connected to one another. So I think that's a great tool to use when you're having a meeting. Spend a few minutes at the beginning just to kind of talk through or come up with a an exercise that the people can do in the beginning that brings them and allows them to have a conversation other than what's on the agenda. Encourage people to take responsibility for their work and remind them how they do contribute to the success and overall objectives of the organization. So if you're a good servant leader, then your organization is going to be a healthy one, which includes valuing people, developing people, building that community. If you display authenticity and provide leadership and share that leadership, this is the sign of a healthy organization. Characteristics of a leader as a servant. Here are some ideas that are important. Be authentic. So you want to always don't be phony, but be really authentic in what you do and what you say. You want to be vulnerable. In fact, here is where I read a quote that said one of the most valuable phrases you can use is in an organization, "I'm sorry, I made a mistake." Now, that's really difficult to use at some point because you want to be seen, you think you want to be seen as, "I know everything and I don't make mistakes," but we all make mistakes. So be vulnerable, be able to say, "I was wrong, and how can we do this better?" So be vulnerable. Be accepting of other people's ideas. We talked about that earlier, and it's really important that you accept the diversity of the organization and the people that are there in your group um, and their ideas. Be accepting. Be present. So what this means is that whenever you're in that organization and talking to somebody, you are there. You're not thinking about what happened in the past. You're not thinking about the future. You are present with the people and stay in that state of being present. Be useful. Help out others. Being that servant. So you can be the change for the world. And here's what you can start with. In here, not out there. So look at yourself first. going back to that concept of we are, we need to spend time thinking about who we are and what we are ultimately all about. And so you're thinking about yourself and what you can do to bring about that change, not what others can do. Spend a couple minutes thinking about how you could be a servant leader. Write down your ideas and then share those ideas with someone in your organization. So again, because this is not totally interactive, but I would suggest that you spend a few minutes writing down your ideas about how you can be a servant leader, and then take and spend a few minutes sharing with somebody in your organization on how um, you see yourself as being a servant leader. So to finalize this presentation, let me say that you want to lead by developing those around you. You want to lead by example. You want to lead by caring for people. You want to lead by being in the present, and lead with heart and mind. So it's not about me, it's about you, and it's about others. So you want to make sure that as a servant leader, you're sending that message that you care about the people in your organization and you want them to be as successful as they can be. That'll go a long ways for creating that environment that you will have a successful organization and you will be a highly successful leader. So I hope you took away some new ideas from this, and then you can implement those ideas. And certainly the whole leadership at the beach is a great way to improve your leadership skills, and they will serve you well throughout your life. And I wish you the best, and I wish you to be highly successful with your organization. And if you need to reach me, you can contact me through my email, which is zpeoplebuilder, all one word, @hotmail.com. It's zpeoplebuilder@hotmail.com. So again, thank you so much for taking the time today to learn. And I wish you the best. And we will hopefully cross paths at Cal State Long Beach at some point in